Hey, listen, it's never too early to talk running backs. In this video, I'm going to give you guys the top 5 running backs for Fantasy Football 2025, the very early list, and stay till the end. I'm going to give you a bonus. Yes, a bonus running back that I don't think anyone's talking about right now that could easily crack the top 5. It's a big episode. We're going to count them down 5 to 1, ready to dive in. Fantasy football rankings very, very early. If you're new to the channel, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and drop it below. Who do you think is going to be the number 1 running back in fantasy, and who are you drafting in round 1? Because the decision is clear. When you're doing a fantasy football draft, round 1, you got to go running back. We saw a ton of wide receivers fail in the first round, including guys like Tyreek Hill. Now, I am wearing a Dolphins hat because I'm going to be heading down to Miami soon, but that's a whole other topic. I'm going to be doing a lot of vlogging there. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit the thumbs up, turn on the bell. But yeah, man, I just want to talk a little bit about these 5 running backs who should be in this list and dive into it, okay? And again, drop it below. Who do you think should be on this list? Did I miss anybody? Want to make this ultra interactive, okay? So let's dive into it now. I was watching some football yesterday. The playoff picture, it's made it, it's all settled down now. Now, I love the way Detroit was playing yesterday. Jahmyr Gibbs, amazing. Atlanta was out. Bijan, who's probably going to be on this list as well. We're going to talk about, amazing. We saw the volume go to him. We got a ton of volume, touchdowns, right? We're going to talk all about that. But in regards to my prediction, we're doing other videos on the playoff picture, my prediction. There's a couple good variations. I think the Bills are a great team. I think the Chiefs are a great team. Eagles have a good shot. Vikings, we're going to talk about it. That's a whole other video. That's why you guys got to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and stay tuned because we go year round. We don't just talk about like fantasy. We're talking about news, breaking news, all that. Now, there's a ton of drama going on right now in Fox Sports. You saw all that stuff with, Joy Taylor and Skip Bayless and all those accusations. Follow my Instagram as well where I'm covering some of that. Just madness. Some of these guys, like I've been grinding for years with my platform, literally trying to build this up. No help from the outside world, no help from any networks, just strictly doing it on my own. That's why you guys got to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and build this channel because I am an independent, right? I don't have a network. And then you hear stories of like people doing favors to earn themselves up the ranks and get their own shows on networks. That's not how I work, guys. You got to do things ethically and you got to do things properly and you got to do it blood, sweat, and tears. There's no shortcuts. And if you do shortcuts, it's going to come back and bite you. We're seeing that now with a lot of these people that's going on right now with these allegations with Fox Sports. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. So anyway, let's get to this list here. I just want to talk. I always like to do a little talk before, I like to personalize these videos a little bit more so you guys, understand me and my goals and what I'm trying to do here for you guys, okay? And just really, bottom line comes down to just being genuine and giving you guys authentic truth to sports. That's what it comes down to, okay? And winning fantasy football advice because everyone else was telling you draft CMC first overall. I was the only one saying don't do it. A decline is coming, and now you're seeing the shift that people are starting to jump on players that I was talking about, okay? So let's talk about these 5 running backs in the bonus at the end, okay? First running back here, we're going to go 5 down to 1, and then I'll give you the bonus guy that could crack the top 5 here. Number 5 here is Breece Hall. Now, I understand he finished 15th, which isn't good. 18th in attempts, which isn't good. But that offense was an absolute disaster, but it doesn't take away his skill. I still think he's a better running back than a ton of guys that finished ahead of him, including guys like Joe Mixon, who's really at the tail end of his career, and a bunch of other running backs that just shouldn't have finished ahead of Breece Hall, but did. Now, he is a major bust, and I get it, but if I can get this guy next year as a value, just because he's top 5 here, doesn't necessarily mean I will spend a high draft capital on him, but I did see some early mock drafts by the Sheepsist, and he is coming off round 1 still. So I think that the Sheep are still going to put him in the top 5, unfortunately. I would love to see him fall because they do a lot of copying and pasting, but unfortunately, just based on his talent, his youth, now he's like years removed from that knee injury, and his explosive ability, like you just can't deny him. We just got to see what the Jets do. They're just a terrible team. At this point, I really just don't feel like drafting anybody from the Jets. But he has that top 5 potential, just, again, strictly based on talent, opportunity, volume, and just coming off a down year. Typically, players that have this much upside and talent, they just don't stay down for that long. So I'm just seeing a ton of upside and a ton of I'm just, ton of ceiling for Breece Hall still. Am I drafting him? Again, it depends on where he falls next year. So I had to bring him up here at number 5. And I left a lot of players out, which we're going to talk about, like Derrick Henry's not on this top 5 list. That's why you guys just hit subscribe. We're going to be rolling out top 10 lists, early rankings, all that stuff. I'm going to talk about it. But Derrick Henry, we're going to have to see how this last playoff run happens. If they make it to the final, win the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl, like in the final, and then there could be a Super Bowl hangover. Is he going to stay healthy? How is it going to play out the rest of the season for Derrick Henry? Because he's older now. I think this was his last hurrah. I wrote him this past year in fantasy. I got him, in the second round. I was like, yeah, man, this is amazing. Why not, right? So when I look at him, I'm just like, yeah, for this upcoming year, probably not. So there's a lot of players I did leave out, but number 5 is Breece Hall. Number 4 is Kyren Williams. I mean, it goes without saying, this guy did amazing. Finished as a top 5 running back, had a ton of volume, explosive. Now, there was an injury that just happened to Blake Corum. I think he broke his arm, something like that. He was a guy that I thought would have been a threat to Kyren. But Kyren, a guy that we had on the show here, if you haven't checked it out, top 10 running backs, he was on the show. Filmed it, I think, back in August, September-ish, give or take. I think it was August. Great guy, amazing work ethic. He is the workhorse on that offense. And I think they're going to be doing some revamping next year. I think phasing Cooper Kupp out, getting rid of that guy, out with the old and with the new. But he is just a rare breed of just explosiveness, volume, talent. He's just a gritty guy. He just gets it done, and they believe in him. The Rams believe in him. So I don't see an imminent threat in regards to taking the volume away from him, which is really nice. Barring any injuries, this guy's easily a top 5 next year. And now we know that Blake Corum, he's already banged up, and he didn't dip into the volume this year. I can't imagine that the Rams, hopefully Blake Corum does get healthy. And even if he does, that's a good thing because he is there as a depth piece to Kyren, and he's not going to be a threat for him. So that's a really good thing. So Kyren Williams putting up the numbers, putting up the talent, a guy that just didn't make the Pro Bowl this year, but has so much talent. Love the guy. Great guy, okay? Coming at number 3, I got Saquon Barkley. Listen to this, okay? 2,005 yards. Now, I was really pissed off yesterday because he didn't break the record. They didn't let him break the record. He should have put up a case to go out there and break the record, but he didn't. And that is just very, very unfortunate because the talent is there. The opportunity was there. And then the combined rushing yards of everybody in week 18 from the other running backs, like 40, 50 yards. He could have easily got the 100 yards to break that record. Now, there was some argument about, like, if he broke it, it wouldn't have been done in 16 games. It would have took 17. There was that argument and all that. He still would have broke the record because it would have been over the entire season. And, he could have shattered that record. He could have got, 50 over that. He could have got 150 yards and said, oh, well, okay, yeah, I beat it, but I beat it by a significant margin. But it was just a shame that he never got to do it. But here's the thing, right? He will never, ever get to that point because here's the thing. 9 running backs have only got 2,000 rushing yard seasons. Only 9 in the history of the NFL. Do you know how hard it is to get to 2,000 rushing yards? And I've never seen a running back do it twice. It's just not going to happen. So he will never, ever hit this. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he squandered it. He just kicked it. Like, it's disturbing to see. I love when humans achieve great milestones, the 4-minute mile, or what is it, 3-minute mile, whatever it was. When that record was broken, other people broke it. Like, I'm all about, like, when Usain Bolt broke the record for the 100 yards. I love when humans do incredible things. And the fact that Saquon Barkley had the opportunity to do something that was absolutely incredible, that would cement his name and his legacy, and the fact that he just sat down is probably one of the weakest things I've ever seen in the NFL, and frankly, quite disturbing. But 345 yards, 2,000 yards on the ground, 13 touchdowns, 2 receiving. The guy got it done this year. He won't do it again next year. If he's healthy, he still has a good season because he's getting the volume, right? He's getting 345 attempts. That's excellent. But will that continue? Will that be sustainable? Will he stay healthy? That's something we got to monitor in the offseason. How far will they get down into this season? Will they make the Super Bowl? Doubt it. But if they do, because that's another thing, right? That was a caveat. I'm like, okay, they're resting him. And the main reason they're resting him is fear. Like, you can't live out of fear. You can't say, well, I'm not going to play a game because I'm fearing getting hurt. That's not the mentality. You got to work your guys, man. You got to play. You got to finish, right? That's my mentality, man. You got to go home or go hard or go home. So they're not going to, this is the thing, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. So it was like all for nothing, and he lost the record. But either way, I'm factoring in a regression. That's why I got him at number 3. Will I draft him next year? I don't know. I got to feel it. I got to see where I'm drafting from. I got to see what else, if the other two guys that I'm going to mention here are available. I got to feel it out, okay? And again, that bonus guy, we'll talk about that in a second, okay? Number 2, I got Jahmyr Gibbs. 250 attempts, and he absolutely tore it up in week 18. I mean, absolutely amazing. The Lions get the number 1 seed. And what I love here about Gibbs is that he is the best running back in the game, period. I've said it right here. Look at this, okay? 170 scrimmage yards in week 18, 4 touchdowns, getting all the volume, getting all the attempts, and he's putting up number 1 fantasy running back numbers with Montgomery there in the season. I cannot express to you that Montgomery would be shattering every running back record known to man if Montgomery wasn't there. This is why I hate Montgomery. This is why I completely dislike this guy for fantasy reality. Because Montgomery sucks. He sucked on the Bears. He was never that good. He's a bruiser. He's decent. I want to say he completely sucks. He's not like a Devin Suckletary or something like that. Like, he's a good running back, right? But he is really limiting the ceiling and potential and absolute amazing talent that we have here with Jahmyr Gibbs. The absolute explosiveness. I mean, 5.6 yards per carry on the season, 250 attempts, 1,400 yards, getting it done in the receiving game, 52 receptions, 500 receiving yards, 4 receiving touchdowns, right? Amazing stuff. And imagine if Montgomery, who stole, I don't know how many attempts, I don't have the number in front of me, but stealing another 150 to 200 attempts, whatever he's stealing, that's a lot of volume you're stealing away from a guy. Now, some people can make an argument that he's keeping Jahmyr Gibbs fresh. Now, I don't believe that because I'm all about volume. If he, like, you see other guys like Saquon Barkley getting 345 attempts, Derrick Henry getting over 300 attempts, right? Like, you get all these other guys getting 300 plus attempts, Jahmyr Gibbs can get that as well. And Jahmyr Gibbs would absolutely be shattering every rushing record, every receiving record, every touchdown record that's ever been achieved. I mean, look what he did in week 18. So that being said, I got him at number 2, possibly number 1 next year, but I still think Montgomery's got to go away. Unfortunately, he won't because he's still going to be there. Sonic and Knuckles, this whole narrative, it's just BS. I hate it. I hate every part of it. The running back committee needs to go because there's so many good running backs that are just being hindered and held back simply because they are in a committee, and that's a shame. But Jahmyr Gibbs, by far the best and most talented running back in the NFL, and it's not even close, okay? Number 1 here, I got to go with Bijan Robinson at number 1 simply because, 304 attempts. He's going to get volume. Now, if you watched week 18, got a couple touchdowns, but you saw the volume. It's become such a big gap between him and Algier, whereas at the beginning of the season, even last year, it was kind of a close gap in between those guys, okay? So going into this year, he's proven to be the number 1. Now, I did see a press conference with Bijan, and after the game, he's like, I'm ready to go. I want to keep playing when they got eliminated. He's like, we're ready to go for more. And he's hungry and he wants it. Like, he's a competitive guy, great person. 4.8 yards per carry, 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards, 61 receptions, 431 yards receiving, and a receiving touchdown. I mean, volume, talent, and he's only getting better. He's putting up amazing numbers, and he was limited the first year, and the second year we saw more Algier than we thought, but now it's kind of that gap has gotten bigger, so he's a true workhorse. So the only difference between him and Gibbs, I think Gibbs is a little more explosive. I think Gibbs is a better running back, but he's still got to contend with a volume loss with Montgomery there, whereas Bijan is the clear-cut guy, and Algier is a distant second, if that makes sense. So that's why he's got the edge, okay? Now, I'm going to give you a guy that could crack the top 10. He's off a lot of people's radars at the time of this recording. Before I do, head on over to our partner, mybookie.ag. Use code FFC. Enhance the game watching experience. Fantasy football playoffs are here. Go to mybookie.ag right now. This is the place I go for all my bets. It's an amazing site. Head on over there right now. Put down your deposit, 50% match deposit. FFC is the code. mybookie.ag, guys. Head on over there right now. And drop it below. Let me know below who is your number 1 running back, and do you agree with this list? Is this making sense to you? Because I always talk common sense. I don't just copy and paste, okay? All right, and number 1, or sorry, the other guy's top 5 here, and he's not number 1, but he could be a top 5 guy, and I'll tell you why, is Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State. I love him, guys. Now, this guy, here's the thing, right? He almost broke Barry Sanders' record, college record for most rushing yards in a season. Sanders did it in 1988, 2,628 yards in the 11 games, 2,800 rushing yards if you include the Holiday Bowl that year. Now, Jeanty had 2,600, okay? 2,600, 2,601, I think, was Jeanty's number. 2,601 was Jeanty's number, and he almost came close to breaking the 26-28 that was Barry Sanders in 1988. So Genty's coming in. He's got amazing vision. He's a patient runner who's able to come up to the line and then find the hole and just cut to it immediately. He runs inside, he runs outside. He's a strong runner, and I've read the scouting reports. I've watched the tape. This guy's prime. Now, there's a chance he could end up on the Cowboys. I'm not a big Cowboys fan. Like, they did good. They did really well with Zeke back in 2016 when he came in. If Genty comes in, he's got to be the workhorse wherever he goes. I don't want to see him in a committee, but depending on his landing spot, depending if he goes on the Cowboys, what they do with their O-line and the improvements they make, is Dak healthy? What's going to happen? This guy is set for a 300 attempt season and a ton of rushing yards. The talent is there, the opportunity, and he's going to be an exciting prospect. If I can get this guy in the second round of fantasy drafts after I get a guy that we just mentioned, man, oh man, are we rocking next year. So we're going to have to see what his landing spot is. But Ashton Genty, very, very exciting prospect, the top college prospect coming into the 2025 draft. A ton of excitement for fantasy and reality is going to be exciting. So let me know what you guys think of the list. Drop it below. Let me know. And yeah, I'm just excited to keep the content rolling here for you guys throughout the year. Hit the thumbs up, turn on that bell, and going to keep it rolling for you. Okay? Let me know what you guys think. I love talking early rankings. Fantasy football doesn't have to end just because the season's over, and I'm going to be enjoying the playoffs. We talk about some NFL news here, breaking it here and on my social channels. Subscribe, thumbs up. I appreciate you. Have yourself an outstanding week. We'll talk soon.